Hello and welcome to StudyIQ. I am your friend Rahul Saigaonker. The agenda for discussion today is bilateral relations between India and Norway. You can see here, Norway explores space collaboration with ISRO. India and Norway share a lot of initiatives from the perspective of science and technology. Apart from this news, Indian Minister for Earth Sciences is already visiting Norway, where a big announcement has come. India is going to establish satellite observation center in Norway. So we are going to discuss all these things from the perspective of India-Norway relations. I would say that this discussion is not just important from the domain of international relations, but it is also important from the point of view of geography, because we are going to discuss about one of the important locations, Svalbard, at the end of this interaction. To get to know all that information, stay with me till the very end. Right, let's begin our discussion. But before we begin, there is a small notice for all of you. You just have a couple of days to enroll for our flagship program, Prelims to Interview program. It is starting from 19th of June. Please mark this date. If you have already enrolled, I'll see you in the class very, very soon. If you have not enrolled, then you would be missing out on a huge opportunity for preparation of UPSC Civil Service examination. This is the most comprehensive program where we will be hand-holding you through prelims, through mains, and through interview. The entire package is priced at a very affordable range, and if you want maximum discount on this, do use my code Rahul Live. Just visit our website studyiq.com and I'll see you in the class. Right, let's begin our discussion. As I told you, recently Norwegian ambassador Mr. Hans Jacob Fridolin, he paid a visit to ISRO headquarters in Bengaluru. He was accompanied by many other officials and scientists from the Kongsberg Satellite Service, KSAT. Just like we have our own ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization, Norway has their own Kongsberg Satellite Service. Now, after this meeting ended, mutual agreement was there on continuing the partnership. So in this particular discussion, we'll talk about the history of this partnership of KSAT and ISRO also. So India and Norway are going to collaborate more and more in the domain of science and technology through space-based initiatives. Now, let's talk about, in general, India-Norway bilateral relations. Now, when we talk about Norway first, where is its location? Norway is a Scandinavian country, right? Norway is located here. It's a Nordic country as well. And there is one territory just above Norway. This is the main country, Norway. Its neighbor is Sweden, and Sweden's neighbor is Finland. So Norway, Sweden, Finland, again, Scandinavian countries. To the northern side of Norway, you will see an archipelago by the name of Svalbard archipelago. It's a very important place. We'll talk about this particular place in the end of our discussion, because it is here that India is going to set up satellite observation station, right? Now, when we talk about India and Norway in general, we have had cordial relationship right from 1947 itself. We both share similar kind of values. Both value democracy. Both have focus on human rights and rule of law. Even before independence, we do know that when we talk about the Scandinavian countries or Nordic countries, the Danish-Norwegian trading station was set up in India before independence, way back in 17th century at Trankebar, right? It is also called Tharangambadi. In fact, there is a very famous museum at Trankebar, right? Do visit if you go to Trankebar, or also called as Tharangambadi. There you will see a very good historical museum where there are so many artifacts and relics, especially from the Thanjavur dynasty as well as the Vijayanagar dynasty. Apart from that, after independence, both the countries have been maintaining mutual relationship. India has maintained an embassy in Oslo, right, the capital city, Norway. We also have consulates in Bergen and Trondheim. And Norway also has established its embassy in New Delhi. It also has consulates in many Indian cities. So the relationship is quite cordial between the two nations. There are many areas of cooperation. We have robust economic relations between India and Norway. You would not believe that one of the biggest investors in Indian equities, even till today, I would say, especially in the 21st century, has been the Norwegian Pension Fund. It is believed that the Norwegian Pension Fund, as of 2020, approximately had more than $10 billion invested in Indian equities. You can see here, Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund ups its bets on India. We have seen a lot of rise in their investment in equities. Everybody knows that India is an emerging market, and Norway also acknowledges that. Apart from that, India and Norway already have a double taxation avoidance agreement since 1986, and both have robust trade relations. If we look at exports and imports of both the countries, you will see that in 2021, India exported about almost $600 million worth commodities to Norway. The main products included bran and chemical compounds. And Norway has exported more to India. That means we have a kind of trade deficit with Norway. Norway has exported more than a billion, almost close to $2 billion to India in 2021, $1.88 billion to be precise. Most of the exports, they include crude petroleum gas, and please note, special purpose ships. Norway has a lot of expertise in shipbuilding and ship recycling. They have robust industries connected to ships. India can learn a lot from Norway in this aspect. So we have good economic relations. Apart from that, we have a lot of strategic cooperation. I told you we share same values, so similar kind of values. We value democracy, human rights, rule of law. So Norway has already expressed its support to India's membership. India has already become member of these control groups, the MTCR group, Missile Technology Control Regime, the Wassenaar Agreement, and Australia group. India is already a member of all the three. Apart from this, many Nordic countries, including Norway, they have already supported India's bid for United Nations Security Council seat. We are seeking a permanent membership at UNSC, and Norway has supported India in it. They have reiterated the support multiple times. So we have economic relations, we have strategic cooperation. Apart from this, from Norway's side, since 2019, there has been a lot of traction when it comes to India. We all know India is a huge opportunity for everybody, for the Europeans, for the Americans, for everybody. India is a huge market. So Norway in 2019 itself, they have come up with India's strategy, and they have developed Norway India Vision 2030, having 5 pillars. They are going to collaborate India with respect to democracy and establishing a rules-based world order, oceans, that means blue economy, energy, clean energy, climate and environment, and then research, higher education, and global health. These are the 5 pillars. And since the time this strategy has been developed, a lot of initiatives have been taking place between India and Norway. One of the prime idea was created in 2020. India-Norway Task Force on Blue Economy has been created in 2020 itself. Now, this task force is responsible for implementation of joint projects between the two nations. Apart from that, Norway has expressed interest in investing more than $1 billion in developing economies, and in India also they have been investing. Recently itself, a news has come that Norway's Climate Investment Fund and the KLP, they are going to invest in India's transmission sector, especially looking at the clean energy, renewable energy. Apart from that, Norway is also collaborating with National Institute of Wind Energy, not wild energy, wind energy, for developing wind energy related infrastructure in our country. Apart from that, India and Norway, we both share 8 joint working groups. Joint working group on hydrocarbons. We have a joint working group on exploration with respect to marine resources, maritime matters, science and technology, environment and education, and we also have joint working groups on culture and local governance. In fact, we have a cultural agreement since 2010 with Norway, which is quite active. So this clearly shows there is a lot of convergence between both these nations. Apart from that, there is a very important pillar of science and technology cooperation. You can see here that India in 2008, it set up its first Arctic research center, which is named Himadri, right? Himadri. This is the station in the northern side, in the Arctic side. We also have stations in the Antarctic side. Do let me know their names. What are India's research centers in the Antarctic side? In the northern side, Arctic side, it is Himadri. It comes in Norway. It comes in the Svalbard archipelago at the place called as Ny-Ålesund. Ny-Ålesund is also a place for KSAT's huge research centers. Apart from that, IND-ARC, another initiative in 2014, it was deployed in Svalbard itself, in one of the fjord there. It is India's first underwater moored observatory. IND-ARC is the first underwater moored observatory. In fact, when we talk about India and Norway collaboration, when we discuss science and technology, there is bound to come a discussion of collaboration between ISRO and KSAT. ISRO and KSAT, they go back to 1990s. In 1990s, the Norwegian space agency, that is KSAT, Kongsberg, the space agency, they released a tender. They wanted to launch certain rockets, sounding rockets basically, for study in the upper atmosphere, because we know Norway, it comes in the upper latitude, so upper atmospheric study, especially in the polar regions. And at that time, India had also applied for this bid, and in 1997, ISRO's private arm, Andrix, it won the tender, and it was first time that we launched India's sounding rocket. You do know that India launches sounding rockets for research in the upper atmospheric regions, and our flagship sounding rocket is the Rohini rocket with a single solid booster engine. Now, these are some of the variants of Rohini rocket, and for the first time, we tested Rohini rocket in very cold areas. Earlier, we launched the Rohini rocket mainly from Thumba, the Turl center in India itself. That means in the tropical climate where the temperature is quite normal. But in the Arctic region, the temperature at the surface is also very low, and if you go higher in the altitude, the temperature would reduce further. And in such situations, for the first time, Rohini sounding rocket in Norway, it was renamed by the Norwegian Space Center as Polar Bear, that is Isbjorn, right? Isbjorn 1. And when the rocket was launched, there were some technical issues because, of course, it was for the first time that we launched from a polar region or from higher latitudes, and we had used a velostat. At that time, we had used on the Rohini sounding rocket, we had used a velostat shroud, and because of this shroud, there were some technical difficulties, but nonetheless, our first launch with Norway was a decent success, where it is said that Norwegians expressed their satisfaction with our launch because the data collected by this sounding rocket, it gave a lot of interesting insights into polar upper atmospheric features. And since that time, we have seen more and more collaboration between the two. And in recent times, as I told you, India's Minister for Earth Sciences, Kiran Rijiju, he is on a visit to Svalbard in the Arctic region, exactly the same location, Ny-Elsen. We have our own center, Himadri, there at Ny-Elsen, and Kiran Rijiju is already visiting there. And there, he announced that at this same location, India would be collaborating with the Kongsberg services, that is KSAT. India would be collaborating with them to establish India's satellite observation station here at an at a latitude of 78 degrees. So this has already been finalized. In fact, if you look at his Twitter handle, he will show you even the location. Kiran Rijiju even went outside and he showed what is the location where India is going to set up this satellite observation station. So all in all, what is understood here from this particular interaction is that India and Norway share many areas of convergence. We have decent and cordial relationship since 1947 itself, predominantly in the area of science and technology. And in recent times, we have been collaborating extensively towards environment and clean energy as well. So let's wait and watch when this center would be ready. Whenever it is ready, we'll discuss that again on StudyIQ. But before I leave you from this particular session, we are going to do some analysis about this location. As I told you, Svalbard, right? I showed you just above Norway. If you go directly above Norway at about 78-degree latitude, you will get an archipelago, Svalbard. And there they have KSAT Center. And why have we chosen this? Now, Svalbard ground station, it is owned by KSAT, right? The Kongsberg Satellite Organization Center of Norway. And this ground station, it is very unique. Why? Because from this location, we can continuously monitor the polar orbiting satellites. You do know polar orbiting satellites are generally in the low Earth orbit. That means they pass through the Earth atmosphere, or they pass around one particular point multiple times, approximately 14 times daily. So all these 14 passes of polar orbiting satellites, they can be continuously monitored from Svalbard region without any sort of disturbance, and that means we can get continuous information, continuous download of information. It is at a latitude of 78 degrees and provides complete coverage. Only one station is more than enough for monitoring all the polar satellites that are orbiting. That means when we create this station in Svalbard at this particular location, as I told you, nay, Elson, then we'll be needing only one station. That station would help us to monitor all our polar orbits, all our polar satellites. Apart from that, you must be scratching your head. You must be thinking, sir, I've heard Svalbard somewhere else also. You said there is already a KSAT center here, which is very unique. Yes, but you must have heard about Svalbard somewhere else also. Did you recall? Svalbard is also known for this particular facility. What is this? It's a very unique kind of location. I would say it's a very pictorial location as well as filmy location as well. Why? When we talk about doomsday, that means when there is some sort of apocalypse, when the entire earth is about to end, we have created a backup plan or an insurance policy. We have created a doomsday vault. It is called as global seed vault. It is present in Svalbard. Now you enter here and you go deep into this particular mountain. You will find a cryogenic facility where seeds of many crops, many plants, they have been stored, because if there is some sort of apocalypse, we can repopulate the earth with those trees. And India is one of the main contributors in this global seed vault at Svalbard. Do remember this particular snippet. You must have heard about that. Apart from that, when we talk about Svalbard as a region, it comes at around 78-80 degree latitude, right? Very high latitudes, closer to the polar areas. That means they are basically cold deserts and they have large number of polar bears. Now, if you want to visit to Svalbard by any chance, say if you want to become a tourist and go there, you can easily get a firearm permit. In fact, the authorities, when you visit Svalbard, they will tell you to carry a firearm, because there is always a danger from the polar bears. Apart from that, Svalbard is also known for very beautiful, exquisite auroras. We see aurora borealis here. The northern side, aurora borealis, and the southern side, we see aurora australis. So auroras can also be seen in Svalbard. So this is some information about Svalbard, the area where India's satellite observation station is going to come up very soon, where ISRO and KSAT will be collaborating to develop this satellite observation center. All right, we'll wait for any update on that. But that is it right now in this particular discussion. Thank you for watching this video. If you have liked this video, you can always follow me on my social media handle @RahulSai222. Thank you for watching this again. Jai Hind.